Okay, so if you don't mind, I will start. Thanks for coming. Have a good late afternoon. I'm pretty surprised that so many people get courage to come so late today. I will try to not let you sleep. We will see. My name is Andrej Jeleník. I'm a systems engineer from CISCO. Some of you probably know the company, who not. It's an American company who stands with the foundation of the internet 25 years ago. We started with the routing and switching, like building an infrastructure. Currently, we do a lot of other technologies as well, like data center, like collaboration technologies, like automation, and we do a lot of software as well. And one of the major technologies or major focus we do now, it's cybersecurity as well. That's why I'm here, standing for the cybersecurity now. We have quite a tough agenda today, which is going to be divided for two major parts. The first one is going to be more general, and I would like to try to continue a little bit from my previous presentation last year. Maybe someone of you was here last year. It was almost exactly the same day as is today. It's floating a couple of days around. But yeah, last year we had quite a presentation as well. In this first part, I would like to, let's say, do the recap of the previous one and slightly continue with the topic further. The last part is going to be a little bit more technical, but just don't be afraid. If you don't follow, just ask. I'll try to explain the things in detail so you can get something with you when you leave this room. Let's start with a quotation. The cyber threat is real. I'm pretty sure most of you already have some experience with the cyber threat. Maybe some spam, maybe some phishing, maybe some ransomware, something like that. Does anyone have? No? Just raise a hand if you agree or if you disagree as well. It's okay. Yeah, well, cyber threat is real. Mostly we focus on the cyber threat or this type of criminal in enterprises. I mean, in the companies, huge companies, organization, which we call the enterprise space. But it's a threat which is also touch to the end user and the private sector as well. The most common lately and basically most popular one is a ransomware. You probably heard of it. It's basically a software which is installed on your computer, running on the background, and encrypting your storage. And when it's done, basically it's just give you a message that you have to pay the money to get a decryption key. It's pretty common. I know a lot of people around me who met with this threat. If you did not, you're lucky one, but it might happen. It's still out. What you need to do to get safe, let's say, because to get rid of it is pretty straightforward. You have to pay. The prevention is good to have the antivirus right on your laptop. The antivirus, there are various versions, various vendors. It's good to have at least something, and it has to be up to date. That's the most important thing. Well, I'm not going to focus on some particular threats right now. We have discussed that last year. I think the presentation is still online on YouTube, so you can get back to it and you will find out more about particular threats like ransomware or some other APT threats and so on. The important thing to realize is the fact that there is a process of attack when someone is preparing the espionage or someone is preparing the action to publish a threat. The process of attack, it's quite visible thing. Basically, most of predictability or the machine learning and stuff, which is on the background of advanced security solutions today, it's working with these kind of information. The first thing, the first pillar, the first actions is always research. The attacker needs to identify what's going on, what kind of environment is going to be used, and who is going to be the victim, that's for sure. The other pillar, the other stage is weaponization. So according to environment, according to sources they have, the resources they have to choose the right weapon, the right, let's say, script, software, something was gonna be used there. After these two stages, you have to deliver that basically to the destination, to the aimed computer or to the network. You have to find out how to do this. You can, just throw away a USB key somewhere on a park station, or just front of a company. Someone definitely will pick it up and just put it to the computer within the organization. That works well for tens of years. The other, a little bit more modern approach is to use internet, right? Every single organization now is connected to the internet. Every single organization trying to do some security. The level of security is very, very various. The last part is installation. You have reached the destination. You have to install the rootkit, the exploit kit, something which is going to operate in the system, server, end station, endpoint, like a, I don't know, laptop or tablet, and it's there. You can start your attack. You can do the action, and you will see the results. The most important thing here is that every single step up on the slide, it's leaving the footprint behind that. That footprint can be tracked, can be found out various ways, and by that information, you can prepare on the attack even before it happened. It's pretty easy to say it like this. There is a lot of things, a lot of technology behind that, but this is the point. The advanced security solutions today, and let's say the leaders with the cybersecurity solutions on the market today, as CISCO is, they do and they use these kind of information to protect the customers even before the attack happened. What we use for that, I said there is a lot of solutions, there is a lot of tools. These are some of them. Other important thing, the cybersecurity, when we are looking on it as a complex solution, has also various stages. It's not just one moment at a time, and it happened and it's done. There are various stages, various pillars which have to be covered. The first one, well, basically we can describe that like a pillar before, during, and after the attack. Before the attack, we usually do the prevention. Without the prevention, we're basically not secure, right? In a stage before, we do discover, enforcement, and basically for these, we need some particular tools. The most common one is a firewall on the perimeter. Maybe when I'm gonna use the words like perimeter, something like that, I always will try to explain. If I forget about it, just tell me. There might be some wording which is not common for you. Just let me know, okay? Perimeter is the edge of the network where internal network is basically edging the internet, the public network, right? So on the perimeter, we usually have firewalls. We usually have something like identity services. We will get to it later. We do SSL decryption. We will get to more details later with SSL decryption because crypting, it's most common thing these days. So it's very important. During stage is also pretty tough, because during means that someone is already attacking us. Someone is making an action, and during that action we have to be prepared. Okay, prevention failed, or we were not able to see that something is coming, but we see it now on the perimeter. On the firewall, we need to have IPS system, intrusion prevention, which is something would work with the signatures. Signatures can compare if this is a threat or not. We can block it. We can do a lot of actions with that. Very important thing during stage, it's a content security. You might have something on mind when I say content. It's usually internet communication by the email, by the web as it is. So web security gateway, email security gateway, secure internet gateway. It's basically something like you have a proxy inside a network. But when we say secure internet gateway, so it's an intelligent proxy outside of the network, somewhere in the cloud. That's pretty popular these days. Do you see the reason why we do the inspection and filtration outside of the network? Something? That's really just basic thing. Like we can filter and we can detect the most of a threat outside of the network. So nothing is coming to my network. So we can filter like 80% of a threat outside of my network if we do it in the cloud, which is a pretty cool thing. Stage after, sure, we have a lot of great solutions. Together it works just brilliant, but to be honest, there is no solution which can basically give you security 100%. As companies and vendors are trying to do the best and always discover new things and be step ahead. This from the other perspective, also attackers are trying to be step ahead and always trying to find out something new, which will surprise the vendors that there is still some gap, there is still some protocol not secured and stuff. So it's step-by-step competition, and by that there is no security solution which is 100% reliable. But we can count like 99. Okay, 99 is it's fine. But if there is seriously something new like zero-day threat and nobody is able to detect it at the moment, it might come to the network, it might do some stuff we don't want to, and that's the stage after. And it's also a very important stage, because once you are infected, once you are breached, you need to remediate somehow. And if you don't know how, it's a problem. It might take a lot of time, each minute, each hour, each day. It's a lot of money for organization in enterprise world. And therefore, the after stage is very important. You need to have a tool which will find out which computers were infected, how we will remediate the threat from those computers or from the segment of the network, and these things. It's pretty cool. Today, in the second part of the presentation, I have a section with the Stealth Watch product, with the encrypted traffic analytics stuff, and that one is very helpful in this stage. Not only in this stage, most of those are overlaying like more pillars, but the Stealth Watch is a pretty cool thing, and we will see how it works and what it can give us later on. I was actually showing you, let's say, the list of tools and the solutions over here. This is how it looks in a diagram where it can work together. Well, yeah, it works. This is the perimeter I was talking about. These are the vectors from the outside which is coming to the network, like web and email security. So it's one vector. The other vector is it's a user. The user needs to be needs to get some authorization and authentication before it comes to the network. You can imagine that you have a company with tens of assets and with hundreds of users, for example. And if you don't know who is in your network, I mean identity, and if you don't know what he's using, she's using, you're basically blind. And without the visibility, you cannot do security, right? So identity services engine is a very important thing. There's a thing which is sitting in the access layer, the first access, where you're connecting to the network, like when you're connecting to access point, when you're connecting to the switch, or if you are using VPN connection, it's sitting there, and it's waiting for the request. You plug your computer, or you connect your computer to the access point, and the request is coming from your laptop to the identity services engine, and you are asking for the authorization. By your profile, you will get the authorization, and by your role, how you are defined within the organization, you will get access to resources which you can access. There are, of course, a lot of resources which are by the role not accessible. Just a short example, you are a receptionist, and providing with some information to the clients which are coming to the company. Of course, you need to get to internal portal with the information, some other, I don't know, websites and so on. But you seriously don't need access business applications which are used by the management, which are used by the CEO, for example. Of course, you also don't need to access the production servers or the other application which are used by the development or accounting and stuff. So these are role-based access authorization. Very important thing, and from CISCO point of security is the heart of security solution. Without identity services, you cannot do any further cybersecurity. The other things are, of course, data center. It's pretty huge part of a network in the organization that needs to be secured. There are different branches which needs to be connected with the secure channel, communication channel, and so on. What is important here? CM. Maybe you've heard that abbreviation already. Have you heard that? CM is basically something like umbrella, which can work with all the solutions, which belongs to security, and in that one single place, you can correlate all the logs and see the relations, basically rise the security events, and then do more. After we finish with this, I have interesting thing which is coming directly to integration, as integration is very important. Is very important nowadays. You see, there are a lot of products. Every single product do something special. Every single product has a different visibility within the network, within the usage of a network. But just imagine if every single solution, every single product within the security, within the cybersecurity in the organization can communicate to each other and can share the specific information with the others. It's a pretty cool thing, and we will see how it works, and we will see what we can bring, what we can actually get from this. Maybe just do some recap from those previous slides. The cybersecurity solution, when we want to have it effective, needs to be simple, open, and automated. Simple is never going to be a simple. It's a pretty complex thing, but the approach, how it's delivered to the administrator, and how we do the maintenance, how we do the configuration, this needs to be simple some way. So we are trying to do it simple. That, of course, not everyone can do that, but if you have some training, if you understand the problem, if you understand the topic, and if you follow also some procedures, you can make it happen simple. Open means there are a lot of solutions like vendor closed solutions today. There is, for example, well, I'm gonna use any names of the companies, but there are a lot of solutions which are really vendor locked. What does it mean? In the past, it was very popular that someone just discovered something, like cool innovation, and they used to call it its proprietary solution. And there were a lot of proprietary solutions. Just after a while, we are starting to do the standards. And standards are now very important, because if you want to have the open solution and we want to open the solution for the other vendors as well, we need to work with the standard. Because if we have proprietary solution, nobody else is going to understand that. If you want to integrate, and it's not going to work. So open for CISCO, it's now very popular term, and we try to do every single solution open to be able to integrate with the others. And automated, it's very close to open. Automated means if we do the integrations, we can basically do a lot of automation. Automated processes within cybersecurity are very, very important nowadays, because you can imagine, as I said, cyber threat is real. There are a lot of threats outside. I see with my colleagues, I see with my customers that they have tens, hundreds, time to time, thousands of events per day, per week, per month. And you basically don't have time to check everything. You don't know what is more important, what's less important. And because of that, you need to have the solution which is smart enough to give you a hint with which events you should basically, or into which events you should invest time, and which events are less important and you don't need to care about them. For those, especially, you can do, or with those, you can do a lot of automated processes. You can basically have the solution which will flag the events by the importance, and you will say, like, there is a chart from 0 to 10. 10 is the most critical event, 0 is the less, and you can say by the specification, like from 0 to 5, just remediate automatically. I will just pay attention to these. If there is an event like 10, 9, 8, they are important for me, and they might have much more impact on my network or of a usage, on a usage of my network. I will spend more time with it personally. And there's the automation. Automation is very important now because, how to say it, human resources, I don't like that. I don't like that words, but people who are taking care of these things, there are not many. Usually, even or like also in a huge organization, there are just a couple people who are taking care of the infrastructure, and even less taking care of security. But that's the point. Organizations just don't have, how to say, maybe not money. They have a lot of money, but they just don't have intention to get more people into it. They're just used to have just couple. Time to time, team is made by 2 people, and they are taking. They have all these responsibility upon them, and it's pretty tricky. That's why in this situation we have to do automations. It's not possible without the open solution, and also it needs to be somehow simple, because more complex stuff, more troubles. Okay, I said how integrations are important. Do you have do you have an idea how does it work? How the, let's say, metal can communicate with the metal, box with the box, and can you imagine that it's probably not like a human interaction, right? Well, I will try to explain. When you want to do integrations within some security products, security solutions, like a firewall and content gateways. You can do that using some programming language. The programming language is one thing. The other thing is formatting of the programming language. And why we do so? When you have two boxes, when you have two solutions, they can understand to each other very specific way. Usually, the information which is going between them, it's not human readable. We can see a lot of science there, which might have sense or not as well. But that's the way how one solution can listen or can ask something to the other. What we are used to do now, most of the solutions are based in UI. UI might be web-based, it might be some application and stuff. As I said, we are trying to do, and we are doing the thing simple. That means when you don't need to write a code, and it's enough for you just click on some buttons and see how it works. It's much more simple than spend tens or hundreds of lines of code. That's one, how to say it, that's one direction how you can do the integrations. That's the later part. But the most essential way, it's using a programming language. The programming language, or this approach, we used to call API, like application programming interface, and the API give us the possibility to send a request to some other solution. What kind of request can be? Any idea? Nothing? Okay, it's fine. You can basically ask for some kind of information. I'll try to say a story like you are an administrator of a corporate network. You're coming to work. The basic routine in the morning is get a coffee, and then turn on the computer and read the news. It's mostly like that. But in the news, you find out that there are some new critical domains, critical hashes, which are published because during the night there was some campaign, and during that campaign, a lot of computers around the world just got infected by that action, by that, call it mission. What you can do, you can basically turn on your console and see if you are also a victim, or you can do some prevention right away. You can get those domains, you can get those hashes, you can get those IPs, put them to the list, use the notepad and just put them to the list, or use the Excel table and put it there, simply or better. And you can do some API programming. The API programming works usually with the modern languages like Python. So you open your PyCharm or your Atom and get a simple code which will send those domains to one of your solutions and check if you see those domains or those hashes or those IP addresses in your network already. If not, better. If yes, you should do some more action. But if you don't get those domains yet in your network, you can do a lot of more. You can basically communicate those to the solution, which is sitting on a perimeter. It's firewall or security web or email gateway, and put it to the list, to the blog list. So you will be sure that those domains will not allow to use from your organization anymore. The other things is, you see, for example, that there are some computers which already accessed during the night or in the previous time, access those domains. So you can do the other thing. You see those infected machines, the the fastest reaction is stand up and, pardon me, just stand up and go to the user and just take the computer and just clean it up. But if that user is not sitting just in the same building, in the same city, or in the same country, what you can do? You can do the automation, you can use the API programming and put it to the console. Again, use the Python and send that request to the identity services engine I was talking about. The identity services engine can do all the things I was mentioning, like disconnect the computer from the network, do not spread the infection to the other computers, or put it to the quarantine segment where it can be remediated by the other tools and stuff. So those solutions can do that for you right away from the spot where you are sitting at that moment. It's a pretty cool thing. APIs are very useful today. They can actually say us, I don't know, what kind of reputation or the reputation info about those domains, IP addresses, or hashes. You can get some more information about particular events from the security solutions. You can see what happened within your network with analyzing the net flow. I will talk more about net flow in the second part of the presentation. And these are very specific information by each product, which are all together getting into complex security solution. When you know that every single solution or every single product knows something else, you can combine those and work with them as a one piece and do the great correlations and see the relations in between not only events but also within the particular communications. Okay, this is a slide which is showing that there is seriously a lot of different worlds within cybersecurity solution if it's not integrated. But with the integration, we can together seriously get it much more efficient. This is a little bit how it works. The API, using the REST API, it's like talking machine to machine. It's not really like human talking, but it is quite readable when you do it the way. And also, very depends what kind of language you're gonna use. It's usually work like you send a request, you get a response. These might be combined in more phases, so it's not just like one request, one response. It might be multiplied. It's pretty open. It's really nice to work with. As I said, you use programming language. Programming language define the instructions. Those instructions are accepted on the other side or denied on the other side. Usually, as I said, it's very important to do the authentication. Authentication is also a very important part here as well. If you had two solutions, they needs to be somehow identified to each other because vice versa, everyone can get to it with the API and ask for some information. So usually for the authentication, you need to have some, let's say, specific string token, something like that, which is part of a request. I will show you later how it looks. APIs nowadays might be based, or you can use it through the web. Just simply use the browser, put the URL in a format which is readable on the destination, and it will give you the response and display it in your web browser. It's pretty easy, but that's too easy to use it and to get the value from it. So because of that, we usually have prepared servers which has predefined a lot of actions. So the administrator who are just coming in the morning to do her job, he's not really coding a lot, and all those things prepared already. Maybe just insight from the real world, how it looks. I do those trainings for our customers, partners, how to make a code done. So basically, most of my customers, my partners, are just getting the code from my trainings. So they don't need to, they don't need to programming. They don't need to do more programming anymore. They are just set and ready to go if they need it. So the most important thing now is, I don't know, if someone from you here is doing programming or just capable to do something with a programming language? Yeah? Cool. So there is a development, like a software development for the applications, for the new things and stuff. Of course, there you have to do a lot of, you have to put a lot of new ideas to the code and transform it into the code. In this part of programming, you mostly need to be able to read the code. You are able to find out a lot of pre-coded stuff on the internet or from the vendor, as the CISCO is. What you need to know is how to read the code and de-edit it a little bit, you know, to customize it to your environment and stuff. Sounds simple, might not be time to time, but it's a not big deal if you have the background behind that. RESTful API overview. I said there is a request, so you are asking for some information how. There are a couple of standard requests, like a get, put, post, delete. From the name, it's probably by logic straightforward. What does it mean? With a get, you will get some information. With put, you're sending some information. With a post, you might do more various things, usually multiplication of a post, and you can do some delete as well. It's a pretty cool thing. Other important information here, as I said, authentication within the communication is important. You not do this through HTTP anymore. So you use HTTPS like a secure channel, but that makes sense. So what's changed now? How we make the APIs more and more popular. We use expressive modern languages, as Python is. We use also Java. Java is also nice, but the Python is really simple, easygoing with this. Other thing is, as I said, it's popular. There are a lot of online communities who are spending time with these. Like some of the programmers here might know GitHub, something like that. It's a pretty cool thing when you do the programming. It's a portal where you can find a lot of source codes, use them, and don't waste the time to do it yourself. Okay, as I said, working with APIs is working with the program languages or with the web requests directly. Postman is a great tool which can help you with doing the APIs, the integrations. From the languages, as I said, Python, Java, Perl, or Go. It's also pretty new and I would say easy language when it comes to compare to C#. It's definitely is. How the Postman work? I said you might use simple URL request. URL request, you know what does it mean? Just put something in the headline and send it. Postman can actually do that for you, can help you with the dividing or partitioning the URL the right way. As you probably know, there is some main domain, there are some subdomains and stuff, and also URL request can be divided, depends on the language you use, on some specific parts, and by those specific parts, you can do some actions, some additional actions when you are requesting the destination for the response. Postman can help you with that, can show you the result right away, and the result, as I said, when machine communicate with the machine, it's not easy readable for a human. Can give you the formatting and can give you the much more readable result. What we usually use for that, we use some let's say particular or specific formatting for that. You might know JSON. JSON, it's a very common formatting method when you use Python, and Postman is full capable with the JSON, and what you see from the result, it's readable information. That's what you want, right? So Postman is a pretty cool thing. Might be used for the automation. Most of the engineers, most of the programmers use it for testing. For the let's say real thing or deployment, they work with the programming languages directly. Yeah, this is pretty small, but at least this middle thing, you can see that you ask for something and you choose how it looks like. It was said before, solutions are not similar also in a way of communication. Someone is someone is actually waiting for this kind of language, this format of communication. The other use the different thing. So here you can basically choose what is gonna be sent to the other machine. It's Python, Shell, PHP, and so on. A lot of things which can be used here. One day, if you go this direction and you will use this, I know at the moment it's more like an imaginary thing. If you have good imagination, you can imagine that better. If you're not, you're probably lost already, but that's all fine. It's not easy thing, and it's not essential for every engineer. The specific people are doing this, even not like security engineers who are administrating the systems. This is quite new role within our specialization. Like network engineer is here for like 30 years, let's say. Network engineer is taking care of a platform, is taking care of solutions within the network, but we were a little bit on site with the programmers, and now we are bringing programmers to our field and working with them closely. It's a pretty cool thing, because I met students, or let's say also absolvents in the past, and they used to say, well, I'm just not going to work. I don't like networking stuff that much. I would like to do programming. So there is a lot of space for programming in our field. This is a pretty traditional thing, the API stuff. As I said, it needs to be, well, we need to work step by step here. Single purpose function, it's not really configurable, so you do some specific things that the specific things is defined. Therefore, we have even more interesting things now, which is PX Grid. We used to call it PX Grid, but now it's a standard. I'd say kind of a standard. It's getting to standard. But there is an alliance, and there is an ecosystem of many vendors who are using this platform. We used to call it unified communication or unified integration platform. And this one is based on APIs, is based on those principles, but it's fully automated now and it's simple. So you don't need to do a lot of codings anymore. You don't need to customize the codes, as I said, you will find on the internet. you will just click on the buttons. That's the part to make it simple. So also, when it comes to integrations, when it comes to automation, we do it simple now. So you can use PX grid capable solutions, and there are seriously many. All leading solutions on the market now are PX grid capable, and within the management, you will just click, I would like to integrate this solution with that solution. I want to exchange that kind of information, and then you work with those informations on the particular solutions. Previously, or in the past, CM was the central point of correlating the logs and stuff and everything. Now it's not the only truth. Now you can correlate various logs, various informations from the different solutions on the different places as well. Like, I can send information like a rich context from the identity services engine I was talking about, which knows who is connecting to the network, with the time step information, when it was, with the accessed information. We know where it was within the network, which kind of segment, which kind of access point, which kind of switch. We know a lot of other things, which, for example, firewall is not aware completely. So I can send those informations from the identity services engines to the firewall, and firewall is suddenly smarter and better. And you can imagine, as I said, or as I show the slide before, when there was the circle, and around the circle there were many solutions or many products, and everybody was smart, different way. The PX Grid ecosystem or PX Grid integration platform for integration can do many things. Well, just like that, basically without any sophisticated configuration or programming. Just a couple of examples. You have identity services engine, and you have ecosystem partner, eyes. It's pretty cool thing, which is very active within the network. I mean, identity services engine, as I said, is waiting for the request of authorization. That means it's seriously communicate with every single point which is connecting to the network, if it's user or user's laptop or endpoint. So you can do the other way around as well. The ecosystem partner might be antivirus on your computer. It really doesn't matter which one, if it's a SET or if it's Avast. If it's pro-integrated through the solution, that software can say identity services engine, I'm here on the laptop which is infected. And very probably this infection or this threat will spread to, for example, SMB protocol, which is standard Windows protocol, which is sharing information in between station in a network. Please just cut this computer from the network. And identity services engine can do that right away. Also, if you, for example, yeah, the other thing, the first scenario was that I was talking before. So you can send some information to the other solution. The second scenario is what I said now, that you can from the different vendor, from the different solution, you can ask identity services engine to provide with an action. And the other thing is over here, you can do even more. You can share the information through the solutions. You can get them. You can get them to the destination, decrease the time, and raise the effort of a correlation and stuff. It's pretty nice thing, but it's based on the programmability and API solutions we were talking about before. Okay. What is the time? 5:22. Okay. How much time do we have? Like half an hour, something like that. Okay. You're still here. That's important. Yeah. Encrypted traffic analytics, very interesting thing. I will not try to tell you everything because it's pretty too much, but I will try to give you at least like the overview to get the point what encrypted traffic analytic is. Some kind of statistical information. Usually, from the statistical information, we know that mostly there are 200 days. There are 200 days, like passed, till company or organization is able to detect persistent threat. Persistent threat we used to call like sophisticated threat type, which is prepared for some time, which is well structured, and they use pretty various strategies how to get somewhere, how to do something. So when we come to those sophisticated threats, usually it's 200 days past, 200 days gone, till the organization just realizes that the threat is there. If you've heard about those campaigns like 10 years ago or a little bit more, I have those information in my previous presentations. You will find it there if you like. There was a industry espionage, which basically happened in Iran, and it was very probably state-sponsored, but it happened like for a couple of months they were preparing the espionage, and once at the moment when it was planned, it's just activated, and it was affecting the turbines in the nuclear plants. It wasn't a change like which was noticeable that time, at all. But after a couple of other months, they realized that those turbines are losing the power. They are losing. How to say it? They are not fully functional as they're supposed to be. And after a couple of other weeks, they crashed. So it was serious things, and it was there like a couple of years ago, and those threats are here now still. You can imagine, well, if there is some war state and someone will declare a war state to the other country, they will probably not bring the tanks and the soldiers on the borders. They will most likely do the cyber attack first. And those are these. The other information, also from the point of view of the attacker, it's not like right away. They can do some breach to the organization, also take some time. Usually it's a 60 days. $3.8 million, it's a standard or average cost of a breach. So if there is a company which is, let's say, middle size for me means like I don't know, 10,000 employees. It might be the cost. It might be the cost of a data breach. Interesting thing. As I said, the most important thing is the visibility. If we don't have visibility within the network, we cannot do any security. We need to see who is in the network, what the user is using within the network. Now we are in the age of digitalization and the IoT. You probably heard that abbreviation already. Internet of Things is everywhere. We are connecting previously stupid things to the network, and they are getting much more smarter, like refrigerator or, I don't know, Hoover or television and these kind of things. They are part of our network, same as your computer or your printer. we need to be aware of every single device, every single appliance which is connected. And therefore, we need to have some tool or some solution. The solution in this case called Stelwatch. It's not that important. More important is what kind of information is processing this kind of tool. You probably know within each network there are some let's say elements which are together making the network functional. The basic elements are the appliances like the routers, like the switches, like the access points, wireless controllers, and of course those other tools and solutions like the firewalls, servers, various types of servers, and the others. Every single element within a network is producing telemetry, is producing kind of a context. Do you have any idea what kind of telemetry is that, what the context means or stands for? Okay, no worries. I just want to say within every single communication there are these telemetries like parameters. When it comes to switch and it's transferred or it's routed to the router, and from the router is routed to the internet, within the header or within the packet, we are changing those parameters and sending it to the other appliance. Because without those parameters, without those information, it cannot be sorted out well, right? That makes sense. But this information can be quite useful for us when it comes to analysis, when it comes to processing that information, correlating the information, and especially looking for anomalies in that communication. Anomalies or is the word. It's a little bit suspicious. What is anomaly, and what is strange for me, and what's a regular state in my network? How it looks in a normal state, let's say. Well, for me as a human, it's difficult to decide. It's difficult to say this right away. But for the system, who is learning the environment, listening all those communications, well, that was not probably used well. It's not listening the communication the way that someone is spying on you. It's listening those informations, like those attributes which are sent with the communications, and looking for the anomalies. And if you do this quite enough, you will learn how the environment behave regular way and what the anomaly is. Of course, from the beginning, like less time you listen, less you know. More time you listen, more you know. You can set some thresholds yourself, but later on, the system can be so smart that can seriously detect every single anomaly or every single exception which was not there, which was not discovered before, and give you the hint that something is happening. And not even that something is happening, but also what is happening, what kind of security event is going on, or what kind of security events you are in a risk. That probably sounds pretty cool and sounds we are secured well and the machines are going to secure us from everything else. Yes, we can use machines and give them the opportunity to learn, and they can do a lot of things for us. But the other thing is encryption. You probably know and heard that by the time the encrypted communication is rising, it's rising pretty high. In May 2017, when you used internet browser and when you access to your favorite web pages, just a little bit more than 50% was secured. How you know it's secured? when you go to Google, you see it's not just http .google.com, but it's https :// and those things. So you can see yourself how you use the internet and what kind of percentage of web pages you use are encrypted now. Probably it's going to be more than 50%, as I'm pretty sure it's going to be. Today we are talking it's more than 80%, and that's pretty critical because, as I said, there are some information sent with the communication inside a packet or so. If you are just encrypt these kind of communications, you don't see them. So you don't see them, or you see just really a couple of those things you want to see. And it's pretty tricky part because a lot of attackers now are using exactly the encrypted communication to hide their activities inside it. There are a lot of organizations, of course, who are doing decryption on a perimeter, see the traffic with the privacy, of course, and then put it in the same state it was before the decryption. But there are still quite a huge percentage of customers, of organizations, who are not using decryption yet. The worst thing is how much we can decrypt. You probably know there are various ways how we can decrypt, various protocols we can use for that, like SSL or TLS, various versions. That's the point. Last year, I will get to it later, but just want to mention now. Last year, we or the organization were published TLS 1.3, which is for decrypting now. Pretty hell, but it's working somehow. But we are not able to get so much information as from the, let's say, lower encrypting algorithms as before. So therefore, it's important to follow the trends and to be able to find out the threats also within the encrypted network. And that's the reason why we were using, or we started using machine learning and behavioral analytics to see also within the encrypted traffic, encrypted communication without the decryption, if there is going on something strange, something weird, we don't want to have in the network, right? So we can do the same thing, and as I was described before. We can take the telemetry from the exporters. Those exporters are meaning like routing switches, routers, servers, and all these things or these elements of a network. We can send them to collector. We can basically sort them out a more efficient way. It's just raw logs, and then specific information we can send to machine learning. Specific information we can correlate right in the solution, and suddenly we have a result which is very valuable for us, and is really interesting. The first thing is well, probably not most, but every single organization has a lot of regulations which comes to encrypting communication, also within the network, not only from the network outside or vice versa, but also within the network. If you use some business application, putting the reports and the other things, of course, your management don't want to share that with the others and stuff. It needs to be encrypted, also within the organization. So those regulations, policies, needs to be checked somehow. Can you imagine how you can check that just like that will you start Wireshark and check every single communication if it's on the right track and stuff? No, it's pretty tricky. The solution, like NetFlow Analytics, StelWatch thing, can do that for you. Can correlate all those telemetry and the context from the exporters, put them together, correlate, and you will see if the user from the accounting is communicating to the accountant server in data center encrypted way. And if not, you have to do some compliance, right? So that's a pretty cool thing. The other thing is, we can also see without the decryption, or we can find out without the decryption of the traffic that something is happening inside the encrypted traffic and might be dangerous for us. We can do that from the various point of views. These three are basics which are standing there: initial data packet, sequence of packet length and times, and global risk map. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time with every single of them, but would like to bring the idea how it works. Initial data packet, as I said, also if it's encrypted, it brings some header. Within the header or within that packet, the initial one, you can see some information like what kind of certificate is used, what is usually you see, what is the destination, what is the, of course you see source, you see what kind of version of encryption is used, and so on. This information it's pretty valuable. Even more interesting is a sequence of packet length and time. I will jump here because this one is it's more funny. By the pattern you see, which is made by each communication, you can find out what's going on inside. It's pretty interesting thing, but every single pattern is specific for something. When you do, like, for example, Google search page download, it looks like this when you're checking the pattern of a communication. It's mostly like that. Of course, some kind of variations, but you can find out pretty easily is that there is not a person who is sitting behind a computer and checking, oh, this might be the Google search page, and there might be a malware, of course. There is a software for that, which is looking for and evaluating those patterns. What is important to say? There are also very specific patterns for example, initiating command and control communication. You probably heard of command and control communication before. Like if you download some kind of unwanted code to your computer, it's not full solution yet. Usually it's a part of it. It's an exploit kit, for example, and that one is communicating to other servers to download the rest of the parts of a solution, of a software, and it's building up until it's built as fully functional, and then that might, for example, start to decrypting your storage or something. So yeah, the command and control is very, very common practice or process with the modern cyber threats. Exfiltration or keylogging also, very typical pattern for that. But the most important thing and most interesting thing over here is the threat intelligence. I have just two more slides, or three more slides, two more slides, which I would like to describe and bring the idea of this thing and get it all together. So let's do that. Threat intelligence. Have you ever heard of something like threat intelligence feed? Okay, never mind. Threat intelligence feed is basically the intellectual property of a vendor. It's usually like that. it's pretty common that this intelligence is shared partially. There are some alliances built in today's world which are cooperate to each other, like to bring the intelligence to the bigger and better level. CISCO has one of the biggest intelligence threat feed in the world. It's not hard to understand why. CISCO is a pretty huge company. We have a lot of customers, and every single device is basically making some telemetry. It's making some information. Most of it, it's correlated by each other and stuff. So that team who is taking care of threat intelligence is working with the big data, of course, with all the regulations of the privacy and stuff. So no worries, we're not spying like American company to someone, that's for sure. But we're working with the big data, and we have them a lot. And with those data, we can seriously bring really valuable intelligence threat feed, which is used by the automation with the correlation of those things as well. So from the first point of view, it might seem like, okay, we see some patterns, we see some header information. That's probably not enough. We have a lot of information also with the threat intelligence feed. What is behind that, or actually what is the third step? Third step is a cognitive intelligence, multi-layer, machine learning. And the machine learning, it's really complex thing. I try to have like a 2-3, also like a half a day long training for those kind of things. It didn't work. It like might be for a week, but very easily or very fast to say. It's like a grid. From the beginning, there is a huge part of information, and we're just pushing it through it, and we are getting to the small set of the results in the end. We are using statistical methods, we are using neural networks, we are using random graph algorithms and methods, and this all is helping us to get the result, which is the result with some particular valuable confidence. And that's very important. You need to be sure that it really is what you think it is. This is the last part, like 2 minutes. I said last year they published the latest and the greatest TLS 1.3. You probably know SSL stuff and these things. That's pretty common, that for all the TLS versions we use SSL. It's okay, it's fine, it's just encrypting the traffic. But this one is the latest one. Just for you to see how the client adaptation was fast, it was crazy. Was released over here, and in a couple of days, weeks, it was just completely replaced 1.2 by 1.3. It's a pretty cool thing. All this is happening because of the internal policies of the companies, the regulations and the policies, which are strictly defining if there is a better way of encrypting the traffic and communication, we're going to use it. And they use that. Just for you to see how complex is that, this is 1.3. We see some response from client. We see some response from server. We see key exchange. We see client's keys, cipher method, and some other specifications, which might give us a lot of information, what kind of solutions communicate to each other, and more. All these is behavioral information. This is TLS 1.3. So you see, like hello, hello, and it's gone. So now it's important to say why we have to do the encrypted traffic analytics. There is no other way how to find out if there is a threat in encrypted communication. And if you have tools, if you have a knowledge do so. You can do it the way and use the process I showed you in a couple of minutes, and you don't need to care if it's 1.2 or if it's 1.3. You're basically on the same level of investigation. I've just a couple of screenshots from the product over here for you to see what kind of information you are work with. So there are some alerts in the top, so you see if there is a targeted DDoS, or you are the target of a DDoS, or if there is some data exfiltration, data hoarding stuff. There might be more of them. You see those indexes attached to the clients. You can see much more. Today's alarms over there. You see top applications. You can go and drill deeper and deeper by every single parameter you have. All these are basically got from the network telemetry I told you before. Every single exporter, every single element of a network appliance is producing the telemetry. You can get them all here. You can make them more clear. You can correlate them, work with them, and see what is happening in your network. This is the good part. That's the cognitive threat analytics. So by the correlating not only network telemetry logs, but also proxy logs and the others, you can get additional value of it and see what kind of specific security events are happening in your network. I will show you here that this is very nice timeline. In the 7th of March, this event was logged. Of course, we did some investigation there and stuff. Over here, like couple of months later, it was still logged. Like this very important thing. You log and persist the logs in the past, because once you want to do remediation, you need to get to the past and see, okay, this application, this process was on those and those and those servers, computers, so you can see the past. Suddenly here on February 19th, this particular application or process was communicating to Tor relay or Tor network, and after that it was probably completed some kind of code, and we found out it's a malicious host, and we found out that this Dusty Hilton is some particular threat. And this one, this specific one was WannaCry ransomware. So it's pretty cool thing, and you can see a lot of information there. Yeah, it looks like this is colorful. It's nice. Most of it is given to you like without much configuration, so I all encourage you to come and be network engineers. If you have some questions, we'll be happy to answer. If you don't have, like I'm from CISCO, and we within a CISCO do a lot of trainings. We do a lot of events for the students. We really love to work with the students. Aleph is one of our partner companies, and together we do cybersecurity incubator. We made 5th year today, and it's working well. We'll be happy to come also next semester or next year here and talk more about these like fabulous specializations I'm focusing on every single day. Thank you for your attention.